So, welcome everybody to Heal the Shadow in Your Relationships Too. And I am so pleased today to have with me the lovely Kimberly Seltzer. Welcome, Kim.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I'm going to tell people a little bit about you. Kimberly Seltzer is a makeover and confidence expert. She's also a therapist and a dating coach based in Los Angeles. And she utilizes a very unique combination of therapy, in field date coaching, NLP, and styling to help people with their confidence in dating life. I love this combination. It's great. And Kimberly's the co-host and lead love expert of a traveling dating show, The Great Love Debate. She's also co-host of a radio show, Full Disclosure. You can see her in a new cable reality dating show, The Romance. She has recently been keynote speaker for Neutrogena, national matchmaking conferences, eHarmony, The Great Love Debate, and iDate, and is a regular contributor to Huffington Post, digitalromance.com, worldlifestyle.com, Your Tango, and is featured in Cosmopolitan Magazine, Fox News Magazine, and Yahoo Shines. So, Kim, you've got some fabulous credentials, and I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I have to say it's a little odd, like sitting here listening to you read my bio, and only because I forget sometimes some of that stuff because I love doing what I do and I'm so passionate about it. More because of my own personal journey and experience that I kind of went through, and that's why I love the topic that we're doing today because it's so meaningful to me, and I think it's really going to help others.
Well, I would love to hear more about your story and the meaning of it for you. So, we're talking about healing the shadow in
Yeah.
our relationships. And let me hear your perspective on what the shadow means to you.
I love that. I love that he says shadow. It's like, when I think of the word shadow, it's what's funny about that word is in my mind, I think of it's like your sense of self behind you. It's like, as you're going through life, there's things that are kind of weighing on you and following you, yet we don't always know how it shows up to other people. We think we're hiding the shadow, but other people can maybe see that shadow. That's what's so funny because I remember when I first got divorced, I thought I was okay. I'm like, oh no, I'm good. This was over. I'm moving on, blah, blah. And it was like I was covering up the shadow, so to speak, that really the pain and the grieving process that I was going through and doing a lot of things to kind of numb the pain until I got through and saw the light, so to speak, and then the shadow went away once I was in the light.
Yes. Well, that's why we call it the shadow, because it's not like this hard, black, opaque thing that nobody sees. It's your shadow, it's behind you, you don't see it. But yeah, like you say, everybody.
Everybody else does.
or at least our
Behind you.
yeah, at least our close friends and family see it anyway, even if strangers might not see it. But so you went through a tough divorce. Well, it wasn't maybe tough for you. You thought it was good, but then ultimately you started seeing what's coming up with you. And you talk about the grieving process after the breakup of relationship. So talk more about that, and does that relate to like staying stuck in anger after a breakup and stuff? Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, well, and I think that's just it, what you said. Like, so I went through a variety of emotions, and I think when you're going through a breakup, like one minute you think you're okay, the next minute you are breaking down and crying, the next minute you can't get out of bed, the next minute you're yelling at everyone in the streets, the next minute you're like, oh, I'm so okay, So you feel like you are literally almost a teenager again with mood swings and moodiness and I just want to let everybody know, hopefully you're relating to what I'm saying because this is a common and actually universal thing that people go through. So when you think of a death, you literally are going through the same grieving process when somebody dies. And, if anybody knows those steps of grief, where you go through depression and anger and bargaining and, all those things that we go through, it's really normal. Now, I think often people get stuck in anger, and there's a lot of reasons why, and everybody's journey is different, and there's reasons for the breakup that are different as well. So we all get challenged by different things. But I think that when, there are three components of why people get stuck in anger. The first one I see is if they have experienced other losses, and that could be a death, it could be other significant breakups, it could be a loss of a job. But when you lose something, it kicks up all the other feelings of the other losses that you've gone through. So then, the loss of the dream of the couplehood, you may still be in love with that person, feelings of shame and rejection and powerlessness, all those things kind of come up, and you kind of hover in this like stage of the anger. The other component is that you get put into, especially after divorce, into a new label, a new role. So now you're the single mom or the single girl or dad or whatever it is. It could be a single parent. If you don't have kids, you are just different. And so your life as you knew it, that was like in the couplehood, which was your identity, is no longer.
Right.
And so that's the other part of the grief, and that people get stuck in that anger of, I have the scarlet letter on, the big D, divorce, and you think, so you walk through life thinking that everyone's staring at you with this big D, and it's your own perception, your own anger that's amplifying it, because most people are supportive and want to help, but they don't know how. So that also can keep people stuck. I would say the third one is that the blame works for them. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, sometimes we get used to being the victim, and I find that there's a strong tie-in from our past to how it shows up now. And maybe you've been a victim all your life, and you keep recreating these situations. So it almost gets reinforced. So, you might feel better releasing anger, and that makes you forget. So, because, when you get that adrenaline rush, it's almost like a drug. It makes you forget really what you're going through. So it's much easier to stay there. And again, it's a familiar pattern. It's an old tape that keeps playing. So whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's familiar.
Yeah. So those are the three dangerous trends that will keep us stuck in anger.
Yeah.
And I so completely agree with you that whenever we're going through any kind of loss, I find that people don't take the time to grieve properly their loss.
Yeah.
And that is what can keep you from moving forward in your life. We're so conditioned to think we just got to suck up and carry on and stuff down all those feelings. But it just doesn't work that way, because those feelings are in our shadow, and then they totally, mess us up and trip us up.
I love that you said that, because actually I often say grieving is like digestion. Like, you can't speed that up. You literally have to kind of sit with it. And like you said, people put a Band-Aid on it and try to not, or numb the pain, so to speak. But the only way to get through it is to go through it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. Yeah, you have to just literally go through it till you get to the other side.
So I know that you are a therapist as well as a dating coach. And in people's dating habits and behaviors, you specialize in connecting the past with the future to help them break the unhealthy patterns. So tell us a little bit more about how you do that.
Yeah, it's so interesting. One of the reasons why I got out of being like a traditional therapist is that, well, first of all, after I got divorced, I was in no condition to help others. I would be like, if people came to my office right now, I'd be like, you think you have it bad? And let's on the couch. So
at least you were honest.
Oh, I was totally, there was no way. I loved being a therapist. I did it for over 10 years. But what really kind of came to me is that, especially at that point in my life, I needed to take action. Like, I had gone to get help and therapy, and I've been talking to so many people, and I knew up here what I needed to do, but I didn't know how to physically take action and change. So one of the things that I would love to do with people is do that. So whether it's shopping or doing the infield work, I really see how the past shows up in our bodies, in our
Yes.
actions,
Hmm.
in our our emotions, and that's where I feel change can occur when I work with people in real time. So I always say our past are like 8-track tapes. If I'm going to date myself, but remember the 8-track tapes?
We remember 8-track tapes, don't we, everybody? Yeah, sure we do.
Yeah. So we thought that was the next best thing, but our past is like 8-track tapes. The reason being is we keep trying to play them, yet it's not valid anymore. Like you can't even find a player anymore. And so I want all of you to think that those messages you got when you were young or the role that you had, it's not valid anymore. It's time for the MP3. And so that's where I start changing people. Quick story around it. Like almost an example of what happened. I was working with this man, and every time he approached a beautiful woman, he would take his arm and he would put it across like this, and he would just get really stiff. He had no awareness that he was doing that. And I brought it to his attention. I said, do you realize that every time you talk to a woman that you're getting attracted to, you go like this? And he like looked at me and like he was horrified. Like, no, I had no awareness. What we connected is that he said, Kim, you're not going to believe this, but when I was a little boy, every time I got reprimanded from my mother, I would go like this.
Wow. There.
And so there was some connection of the female figure and his mother
Yeah.
that got connected in his mind when he got scared or insecure.
Well, this is so interesting. You have more to say about it?
No, 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 go, please.
I was just going to say it's so interesting that you can be right there with him. I read in your bio that you do in-field dating work. So this means you go out with your clients when they are trying to meet somebody and you'd give them tips. This is so fascinating to me. It's like it's
Exactly.
like being a wing girl in a different kind of sense, right?
Well, that's what I am. I am a wing girl, essentially. Like, if anyone has seen Hitch, people call me Hitchette. Like, I'm right there with you. It's not like I'm hiding in a bush with an earphone telling people what to do. I'm like Cyrano de Bergerac. But no, I'm with people. And what I do is I help, no one can see themselves. So I'm kind of your pair of eyes and bring up things so that you know how you're showing up in the world, your first impressions, your body language, your messaging, the way you flirt, the way you don't flirt, all of those things. And so, yeah, I just was coaching a woman this past weekend, and she was very insecure, not feeling confident about herself, divorced, getting back out there. She's 60 years old, and um, beautiful woman, but yet she didn't see how beautiful she was. So we went shopping. We got this amazing clothes. She looked hot and sexy, and she even started moving differently. And what she didn't realize is she kept saying, I'd say something, she'd say, okay, okay, okay. And then she would apologize for everything. And she'd go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So I'm like, you have got to stop saying okay and saying you're sorry. So she was literally like apologizing and giving her power away to
Yes.
everybody she met, including men. And
Mm.
that's why she was attracting a lot of narcissists,
Oh,
controlling guys, men,
mm.
man children, as I call them,
Yes.
because she was doing the over caretaking and not taking care of herself or setting boundaries. So this is like the meat of what I do that's so exciting. And I sometimes wish I had a camera every time I went out with someone, because it really is so inspirational how little changes can make big changes.
Well, it's just so fascinating to me how you've managed to combine therapy with styling, with in-field dating. I just love your approach. It's so unique. And so you're always constantly tying in what people are doing, how they're behaving with something that they need to resolve from their past or from their shadow. Now, what is the best way that people can actually make the changes to move past the anger, the blame, even stuff that we don't even realize we're carrying?
Yeah, it's, the biggest thing that I tell people, I always talk in formulas because it's helpful and easier to think about. I
Sure.
call it the 3B system. and I believe that if you focus on the three B's, it can really help you get back out. The first B is beauty, of course, and even for men, and I work with just as many men as I do women, but um, thinking about how fashion and your first impressions and grooming yourself, how you can feel good for you. And again, it's not focusing on the man or the woman. It's really pulling back and focusing on you and getting back to you, because especially in a breakup, like I said, the identity was wrapped up in the couplehood. You have to find yourself outside the couplehood. And sometimes that is really exciting. It's like, I forgot I wanted to surf. I couldn't surf because my husband hated it or he was scared for me to do it. So it's like, this is your time to go out and beautify yourself, pamper yourself, get a manicure, do all those things. The second B is setting boundaries. It's really important that you don't get caught up in over caretaking and getting burnt out. Say no, compartmentalize your life so that you're able to focus on the different aspects, because after a breakup or after a divorce, there's a lot of things that you have to manage: your finances, other relationships, let going of the past. So that is really important. And then, I'd say the other B is body language. Really pay attention to how you're showing up with your body. If you feel really stiff, do some movement. After a divorce, the first thing I did was take salsa dancing lessons, and I recommend it to all my clients.
That is fun.
I love it because, a thing that happens is we get so in our head, especially after a trauma. And the best thing you can do is get out of your head and more into your body. And so pole dancing, salsa dancing, exercise, get your body moving. And the endorphins too is really just like a natural drug and helps you kind of release some things. But when I go out in the field, I often see how people are showing up in their bodies, and it's amazing how we're not aware of all the things that are going on. Like, make eye contact, smile, because that feedback is going to feed you.
Such a great point, because I feel like we carry all of our emotions in our bodies anyway. And
Oh, yeah.
a lot of my viewers do yoga. It's a wonderful practice.
Oh, I love
And
yoga.
yeah, just to get that body moving, get those feelings out of there, get to a healthier place, instead of when you stay stiff, you contract. How can you attract anything good into your life when you're all contracted and you've got this stuff stuffed inside of you?
So true. So true. I often say, and this is a common thing, that a lot of people have this notion in their head that they have to stay strong, especially in a trauma, but they're thinking of strong is not releasing and holding everything
Right.
together. But that's actually, it's going to backfire. It's like a balloon. You keep blowing in it, blowing in it, blowing it, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and you're not releasing it. It's going to pop.
Yeah.
Release it.
I always say nature will bring you what you need to heal that.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
So we talked about how makeovers can help you really feel better about yourself. So I'd love to hear more about the work you do with makeovers. I know that bringing change into our lives can really make us feel so much more powerful and positive. So I love that.
Oh my God. It's amazing. Like, sometimes I feel like I reach people more in one shopping session than I did years of therapy, because there's nothing like it. And I remember watching the show What Not to Wear. I don't know if you know that show.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the things that inspired me too. And like, God, those people look happy. And there's not too many things in life that give you that instant gratification towards change. I mean, we're doing so much internal work and it takes time. So that's what excites me about this. The makeovers that I do, both for men and women, are really transformative. And whether you're working from the outside in, inside out, it all goes hand in hand, because how you're showing up in the world with your image is telling a message to people in the outside world who you are and what you want to be and how you're feeling. And when you're getting back out there and dating, that's why this is so crucial. I mean, I just want to emphasize that your dating success can increase 55% just based on your clothes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's research. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we hate to admit that we're so superficial, but I do love that you said that you can work on yourself from the inside out or from the outside in. I like to emphasize that, all three areas, body, mind, and spirit, are all interconnected. So we don't want to judge if we're trying to just work on the outside first. It will get internal. It will get to you on the inside, as your clients can attest, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. A quick story around this. I had the lovely pleasure of doing makeovers on 10 girls in 3 hours. Now, can you imagine?
Wow.
I mean, with especially women, we have body image issues and everybody gets kind of wound up. But I was lucky enough to find a store, and I only had one strip to work from. There were like 3 stores on that street.
All right.
So I know, like, yeah. The one store that I found, I got all 9 girls dresses, and they felt fabulous. And you should have seen, everybody was like giddy and laughing. And then the 10th person was missing. I'm like, where is she? And she was sitting in the corner, and she was weeping. And I went up to her and I said, what's wrong? She's like, this is like junior high all over again. I hate my body. I hate the way I look. I hate myself. And this just proves that nothing looks good on me and nothing works. And I kind of gave her some tough love and helped her roll up her sleeves. And I said, look, we're going to go across the street. It has nothing to do with you or your body. This has everything to do with this particular brand that's not fitting you. So we went across
That's
the
such a
street.
good point. We got to remember that sometimes. It's not about us.
It's not about us, but yet, especially women, we take everything that it's our fault or it's us. It must be us.
Mm-hmm.
It like the clothes was just a metaphor for what I think she was doing in her whole
Right.
entire life.
Right.
And so we went across the street, and this was a woman too that never wore a dress. She never thought she could wear a dress. Do you know that every single dress fit her? She came out of the dressing room and she started bawling. This time it wasn't out of sadness, it was out of joy. And she said, Kim, I've never felt this way in my entire life. And that moment changed her entire life. You should see, and actually her before and after is on my website. And from that moment on, her career changed.
Oh, wow.
She had a boyfriend.
Wow.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you said, it's not about the superficial aspect. It's about feeling good about yourself. And that's what I really want to emphasize. It's not about changing you. It's changing the way that you view yourself. And so that you're showing up as the best version of you, really.
Yeah, and it's funny how when we don't have a good image of ourselves or feel good about ourselves, we will use the outside world to reinforce that. So she's going to the wrong stores, picking the wrong clothes and going, see, I knew it. I can't be beautiful. It's all about me. And therefore this is how the shadow works. It keeps us stuck in those beliefs, not realizing there's a choice across the street that's going to make you look fabulous and feel good and finally be able to own and claim, I do have beauty, in my being, in my aspects. So I love that. It's a great example.
That is a great thing. And it's like what I was saying before about being stuck in anger. Like, and that was that victim mentality.
Yes.
See. And I'm like, no, let's not see. I'm going to show you something totally different.
So I do want to hear how you work with people, because I find so many people are stuck in that victim mentality and they don't see it. They just think that's the way world is. So how do you help people get past the anger, help them start dating again? I have so many single people that watch this and are just wondering if they're ever going to have that beautiful soulmate experience or life partner experience. So how do you help people get past all of that stuff and get into being their best selves and dating?
I just want to start out by saying, and I write for the Huffington Post in the divorce section, and all of my articles you see, so much of the stuff that you see about around divorce is like gloom and doom, and like, again, that scarlet letter. I really want to emphasize that this is like a rebirth, and the more you think of it as something exciting and powerful that can move you into a different like state of being and life, that positivity is going to transcend to every part of your being, from your mind to your body to your spirit. And that's what I really teach people. And you ask me how I help people. I help people feed the mind, feed the body, and feed the spirit. And how you do that is in many different things. And it's really helping people hone in on what they're passionate about. Where do they feel confident? And bring that stuff up and highlight that so that it kind of transfers to other areas of their life. So, I was working with a woman who always loved to dance, but she just stopped dancing. And it wasn't until she got out and through it, I said, your first homework assignment, you need to dance. You need to get back. You need to just dance. I don't even want to talk.
Yes.
Just dance.
Yeah.
And sometimes the talking is too much. I can't emphasize more. Doing is really where the change is going to happen. We can sit and have Skype calls all day long, but until you actually get off the couch and do something, that is when change is going to occur. So, the body and the mind, I don't know, go to a bookstore and, start reading things that you never thought that you were interested in before. Book club, learn another language, again, challenge yourself in ways that will really kind of get you past that spiral that you're in and thinking of that gloom and doom. And then, the spirit, like you said, the yoga, even feeding your spirit with friendships and all that stuff. I do want to emphasize, any single women and men out there, you have got to get some single friends. That's the first assignment, because, the married folk, as great as they are and lovely as they are, and many married folk friends, they don't get it. They don't understand. They're not where you're at, and they don't have that kind of flirty mojo energy that you need to feed off of, to go out and have fun and flirt. So
that's a great point. Great point. And what we're basically doing is we are rebuilding a new identity. You can't go forward if you're going to drag along the same old you that you thought you were. All of that stuff is illusion. It's just a perspective. Yeah. It's something the shadow has got you locked into, thinking that this is the way you are, this is the way reality is, this is the way it's going to work for me. So you got to shake things up. Like you say, do something different. Do something that might be out of character for you. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, like it's the hamster wheel. Get out of the hamster wheel.
Get out of that hamster wheel. So, Kim, you gave us so many great tips today. I'm so happy to be with you and hear you speak. And you have a free gift for our viewers, and we have the link right down below here. So why don't you tell us about it?
Yes. It's a free body type booklet to help you get started. I think one of the reasons why most women hate shopping is that they don't know their body type. So they go into the department store, they get overwhelmed, they grab something on sale or a color that they like or fabric that seems nice, but it's not necessarily working for them. And so then they get frustrated and nothing works on me. I hate shopping. So once you ladies know your body type, it gets so much easier and it's fun. So there's 5 body types, and I give you instructions in this guide on how to measure yourself so that you know what clothes work and then what clothes to avoid.
This is so important because I think we can all relate to that experience of, like, you go to the store, you think this is the one, and or you just grab whatever they've got because you have limited choice, limited time, and then the stuff sits in the closet and you don't feel like wearing it.
That's exactly what happened. And we have different reasons why we impulsively buy. Sometimes it's because it's the sale or we're feeling sad that day and we just grab things. There's a lot of emotions attached to it too.
Trying to fill an emotional need.
Exactly. And what better way than shopping? Actually, that can be therapeutic as long as it doesn't get to the point of obsession and it's a whole other thing.
Right.
But I do want to say as well, the virtual makeover is super fun. It's like what you and I are doing right now on Skype, but I do a head-to-toe assessment on people's body type and colors, and I even go into people's closets and do a closet audit.
Oh my goodness.
So people try outfits for me, and I give them links on where they can find clothes that fit them, and it's super fun and informative and good way to get started.
Wow, that sounds like so much fun. And thank you so much, Kim, for giving that to my viewers. I'm sure everyone's going to be punching on that URL down below here. So again, it's been such a pleasure to have you here with us.
So thank you for having me, and thanks for putting this together to inspire others.
Oh, you are so welcome. And thanks to everybody who's watching, and join us again for the next installment of Heal the Shadow in Your Relationships 2. Bye for now.